What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest problems that I see high school football, youth football, middle school football, and that is this entire fake offer, like propaganda that is shoved down our throats. So we're going to talk about the different types of fake offers, how you guys can spot those fake offers, and why you shouldn't be discouraged if you see other players getting these types of offers, because they really don't have any basis and nothing is official until you sign on the dotted line at signing day. So that's what we're going to be discussing today, and then answering some questions that you guys left on a previous episode of this show. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Let's get started. So fellas, there are really three types of, I guess you could say, fake offers, non-committable offers, verbal offers, and those offers that you guys all probably seen, heard about. A lot of people just simply don't know what goes on behind the scenes in the whole recruiting world with all the different types of offers that you get, the age that you get the offers. So that's really what we want to get across to you guys today. And this is not meant to discourage anybody that has an offer if they're, you know, like an 8th grader or an offer, I should say, as an 8th grader or a freshman. It's mainly to encourage the people who don't have those offers and they play the comparison game like everybody is guilty of doing on social media. You see another player with an offer and you get discouraged. You're like, man, I don't have that offer. I must not be very good. How is he so much better than me? We all should not play that comparison game, because just like anything in life, just like the people on social media who are flexing the watches and the nice cars, usually those are the people who are dead broke. They're doing it to try to make some money, to try to get people to perceive them a certain way. And then it all comes out that it's BS. That's very, very similar to the whole recruiting landscape that we see in high school football nowadays. So three types of fake offers. You have paid for offers, you have early recruiting offers that we'll get into in a second, and then you have non-committable offers even after you are a junior in high school. Because let's just set the record straight. You cannot get an official committable scholarship offer, like a legit college scholarship offer, until the summer before your junior year of high school. So anything you see before that, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 7th grade, I've seen some clips of people saying that, it's all BS, it's not real. I'm not saying that there maybe not isn't potential there, and we're going to talk about those potential type offers, but you shouldn't get discouraged when you see that, and let's talk about why. So let's talk about paid for offers. So paid for offers was something that I came across, was introduced to probably about like 3 or 4 years ago. I met a guy who's like kind of one of those like recruiting agents. You know, he helps athletes get exposure, helps athletes get noticed. He played quarterback at Cal Berkeley, and now he's running some business like that in Orange County, California. Great dude, nothing but positive things to say about him. I don't know what he does in his recruiting service, because there are a lot of recruiting services that are scams out there. I would assume, just based off of getting to know him, he's probably not that way, but I couldn't tell you anything about his business. But what we were talking about is, because I heard it in passing from not the most reliable source, they're like, oh, well, you know what kids do nowadays is that they'll pay college coaches, I should say the parents, not the kids, but the parents will pay college coaches cash under the table to give their athlete or to give their son a verbal offer. So why is that even a thing? What the hell is that? So many people don't even know about that. And so I had the same reaction you did. I was like, what? That's weird. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, does that actually go on? Because he's a little bit more credible than the guy I was talking to about that in the past before I ended up meeting this guy. And he said, yeah, dude, that's a very real thing. And that's something that we have to deal with in our business every single day, is just pretty much like telling people to avoid the scams out there. So how does that go? Why would people pay an assistant college coach cash to give them a verbal offer if that school isn't even really interested in the athlete? So I was talking to a guy who was a coach at the University of Georgia. Maybe a couple months back, we did a podcast with him. We posted it on our YouTube channel. And he was saying that the University of Georgia had something called a 6th state rule. So essentially what that means any state, I don't actually know why they call it that, I should have asked him, but essentially what it means is that any state that touches Georgia, so like Tennessee, and all colleges do this, by the way, they just do it with other states because they're obviously in different parts of the country, but any state that touches Georgia, like Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, if a recruit posts an offer on Twitter, what their job is as a graduate assistant was essentially as somebody who's like kind of pretty much an assistant. He's not getting paid, he's still enrolled at the college, but he works for the football program and he's using that to kind of get his foot in the door in coaching. His job is to report back to his superiors, whether it's like the wide receiver coach or the offensive coordinator or the head coach, with all the players that week who claim they got an offer. So that's where this whole like paid for offer thing comes from. It's just paying for exposure essentially, but it's all BS, because at the end of the day, you know what they have to do? You have to watch your film. So let's talk about why that's a problem. Because think about it. Let's say I'm an athlete who's not that great, but I want to get exposure and I want to play in college. So I pay a coach $2,000 under the table cash to say, hey, could you just give me a verbal offer so I could post on Twitter? Generally, the coach that they pay is a coach that doesn't have the jurisdiction to give an official scholarship offer. The coaches that have the jurisdiction to do that are coordinators and the head coach. If you are going to get a legitimate scholarship offer from a school, it's going to be from the head coach or it is going to be from the offensive or defensive coordinator. That's fact of the matter how it goes. Maybe sometimes a position coach might have the authority to be able to do that, but he's going through the head coach and the coordinator to give that offer. So if you see on social media something that doesn't make sense, like the inside linebackers coach offered a quarterback who's a class of 2028, like, that's a little weird. Why would he give him that offer? Like, that may be a clue to show that, hey, maybe they're doing something shady behind the scenes that we don't know about. But essentially, you pay them, they give you the verbal offer, you post it on Twitter in hopes that other schools see that, other coaches look at you, and maybe they're interested. But if you're not that good, you're still not that good. Like, I hate to break the news to you, like, a fake offer isn't going to get a college coach to look at your film and go, oh, well, they must have seen something, so I'm going to do this. Like, yes, colleges are copycats, and yes, once you land one official offer, other schools are definitely more interested, and that can put you on the map. But if your film does not back it up, then there's absolutely no point. And let me make this clear, because I know what people will think. Well, I am really good. I feel like I'm good enough to play D1. Should I just pay for this offer and then, maybe other schools will see me and then I could get legitimate offers? Generally, if you're that good to play at a Division I level, you will get found. You're going to get found by posting your stuff on social media, reaching out to coaches, going to camps, having your high school head coach put you on to different connects that come into his office, because that's high school head coaches' jobs. Generally, high school head coaches, what do every single year during the winter and during the spring? They have college coaches coming into their office, and what they do is they say, hey, you should check out this player, and this player. That's the best referral that you can get. So if you're that good, you're going to get the exposure. You don't need to waste the money. Now, this whole thing came about. It's really popular in Southern California because you get a lot of recruiting agents out there. I refer to them as street agents, right? And a lot of college coaches refer to them as street agents. And that's not a term of endearment. Like, that's like a bad thing. Like, that means they have no credibility at all, and they're just in it for the check, and they're just in it for the money. So there's a dude out here in Southern California, and I made a video on this a little while back. I didn't even mention this guy by name. Nobody knew I was talking about this guy except for me and except for that guy. Right? So this guy gets a hold of my phone number and starts threatening me, says he's going to show up at my camps and kick my ass, all this stuff. And he got super offended and super upset when I didn't even mention him by name. If he was doing something ethically, and he wasn't doing what I say he was doing, wouldn't he just be like, yeah, that's weird. Like, he must not be talking about me. But it was clear that I was talking about him when I didn't even say his name. So that's the first step right there. That's your first clue. This guy's probably up to some shady business. And he was doing a lot of stuff in Orange County, California, and LA County, California. And he got kind of ran out of town a little bit because everybody was catching on to his scam. And his scam was essentially the paid-for offers. He would tell parents and athletes, and I don't blame the parents and I don't blame the athletes because a lot of them don't know any better. They're just trying to do right by their kid. They're trying to help their kid get to the next level because that's a dream that they have. And then you get this fast-talking salesman dude who comes across and promises all these things, and you fall for the scam. I actually feel bad for the parents and have a lot of empathy towards the parents and the kids that were involved with this. But he was charging, like, I believe the number was $5,000 per offer. So every offer that I get your kid, you're going to have to pay me $5,000. So guess what he would do? He was very well connected, knew a lot of assistant coaches at a lot of different schools. Like, one of the schools was like an Arizona State type or University of Arizona, and they actually got in trouble in those years for some recruiting violations. Go figure, right? But anyways, he would take the $2,000, because $2,000 is generally what it would go for as an offer. It's probably more now, but that's what you would pay under the table to get one of those fake offers, right? So he would take 2 of the 5, pay the college coach would give this kid an offer, recruiting guy would go back to the family and act like freaking Jesus Christ and be like, look, I got your kid this offer, would pocket the $3,000 pretty much for absolutely nothing. All this is cash, by the way. Nobody's paying taxes. Nobody's reporting this type of stuff. And people like me and you are having to pay a load of money in taxes, but depending on where you live, obviously. But these guys, just under the table cash, everything's all good, right? That should piss you off in a sense too. But anyways, what the parents would do is they go, oh great, maybe we could get another offer. Here's another 5. Here's another 5. So we give this guy $15,000 in hopes to save ourselves $200,000 in terms of a college tuition. But guess what happens, you guys? They're all fake offers. The athletes that he was getting to do this were not D1 caliber guys, and he was pretty much lying to them the whole time. So when it came time to actually sign for a school or get a legitimate offer or want to commit to a school, whatever, all those schools were like, nah, dude, we already we already have somebody else. And guess what? They just blew $15,000. So that's something that happens. And that's generally where the paid for offers thing comes from. It either comes from really wealthy parents who know people, or you work with some recruiting agent who's like a middleman who will do this whole type of process. That dude's not the only guy. There are multiple quarterback coaches down here in Southern California who do the exact same thing. And if they were watching this, they know that I was talking about them. But that's their whole shindig, you guys. That's how they make the real money, if you will. But anyways, that's the first type of fake offer that I want to get across to you guys. And again, I'm not discouraging you. I hope none of you have fallen for this, because it's sad that this is even really a thing. But I say this because don't believe everything you see on social media, you guys. Like, it's just the same as anybody. Like, you see somebody on social media flexing like with a Lamborghini. Like, you know, it's really not that expensive to rent a Lamborghini, right? They just do it to look a certain way. There's an actual business in LA where I live where people own a private jet, and what they do is they allow people to come in for an hour and take photos in the private jet to act like they're on the private jet so they can look a certain way on social media. That's the world that we live in, you guys. So don't play the comparison game on social media, because more often than not, it's BS. Don't believe everything you see, okay? That's the first type of fake offer. Now, let's talk about something called early recruiting, because that is a real thing. I'm not saying that anybody who's 8th, 9th, 10th grade, 7th grade, sometimes, like, if they have an offer, they're trash, they're not going to be very good. Chances are, like, a lot of them are probably pretty decent. And a lot of them probably are warranted the early recruiting attention. Like, there are dudes who are freshmen who play in like Georgia, Florida, California, Texas, the big football markets. They start on varsity and they get maybe a verbal offer. Now, this is what it's like when you get this early recruiting offer before your junior year. Imagine that we're watching a football game. Let's say it's the football game this past Sunday night, right? You got the Packers and you got the Steelers, right? Packers and the Steelers. Let's say you could bet $1,000 on the Steelers to win. And if the Steelers win, you make your $1,000 back and you get an additional $1,000. So you get $2,000. Let's say if the Steelers lose, you get your $1,000 back. You just don't win any money. I think every single one of you would be a degenerate gambler if those were the stakes, right? So that's essentially what colleges are doing with these younger players. They're saying, hey, we're going to give you an offer. Neither of us are like on the hook for this offer, especially us, the school, because a lot can happen in 4 years. You might get hurt. You may not grow. You might just fall off a cliff when it comes to skill level. But if you end up being really good, what we're going to do as a college is that when you're about to sign to a school or commit to a school, we're going to go, hey, man, like, we were one of the first ones to offer you. We've always believed in you. We've always seen that you've had potential to try to get into your head, so you sign with us. It's like placing a bet with no fear that the bet's not going to hit. Right? So again, when you see those types of offers, understand they might be really good and they're definitely talented. But again, a lot can happen over the course of 4 years. So the reason why I say this is because if you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore and you're discouraged because you don't have any offers, understand that most people don't get those scholarship offers until they're a junior, until they're a senior. And those offers that you see are not legitimate offers until they're a junior, until they're a senior anyways. You have some time to work and develop your game, to get bigger, to get faster, to work on your skills so you can actually get a legitimate scholarship offer, because you need one school to believe in you. You don't need 20 schools to believe in you, and every single one of you is going to have a different recruiting journey than the other. My recruiting journey as a player is going to be a lot different than the one you guys will have watching this video. That's just the way it is. Nobody has the exact same cookie cutter pattern that you need to follow. So when you see this early recruiting, don't get discouraged. Be happy for those guys. Like, hey, listen, he's really talented. Great. You know, I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to keep working because I know an opportunity is coming for me, right? Don't be negative. Don't be like, man, screw that guy. Hate that guy. Like, you don't want to go down that path. That doesn't serve you at all. That's not a good use of your energy and your time. You see that stuff? Ignore it. Tune it out. I'm focused on my game. I'm focused on getting a legitimate offer because I know that those offers aren't really worth anything anyways. Okay? So now, third type of fake offer that a lot of people don't know about, and this is a fake offer that happens when you are a junior or a senior and you get legitimate recruiting attention, or you can get legitimate recruiting attention, and that would be deemed a non-committable offer. So I'm sure you guys have all seen it. Athletes, what they will do is they will commit to a college. So let me explain this to you. Let's say I'm, Ohio State, and I want to sign a quarterback out of the class of 2027, for example, right? So there are probably 5 dudes, like 5 quarterbacks across the country that I really like. And I'm going to offer all 5 of them. And if any of the 5 want to commit to my school, we got our quarterback, I'm going to take him. But I'm not going to put all my eggs into just those 5 kids' basket, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to offer 15 quarterbacks. So 1 through 5, those are committable offers. 6 through 15, those would be deemed non-committable offers. It's, we're interested, but we have a better option that we're waiting to hear back from. That's essentially what it means. Now, why do I say this? Do I say this to bag on the people who have gotten offers? No, I don't say it to bag on those people. I think it's great. I say this so you keep your foot on the gas pedal if you find out that you have a non-committable offer. So that should be your first question. For you juniors and seniors watching this, or you're going to eventually be a junior or a senior, if a college coach offers you, your first question to him be like, Coach, thank you so much. Really appreciate the interest. Really appreciate you guys wanting to offer me. Is this a committable offer? If they say yes, I would highly consider committing early because that means they are interested in you. Nowadays, you don't see a whole lot of athletes unless they are top tier with a ton of scholarship offers, because you know what's so popular in the NCAA right now? The transfer portal. So they're not only recruiting high school players, JUCO, prep school, they're recruiting other D1s, other D2s, D3s, NAIA. They have a much wider pool of guys to recruit from. So if they're giving you a committable offer, they really like you and they really want you, and you probably should sign. Or not sign, but at least commit to that school if that's the best option for you. If you have multiple options, great. I'm not telling you what to do in that sense because that's obviously a personal decision. But if they tell you, hey, Coach, this is a committable offer, no, you know, it's non-committable right now. It might be committable, but it's a non-committable offer right now. Just know that they're not that interested. It's like a girl. She's just not that into you. You keep asking her to hang out and she keeps trying to avoid it. Like she's being really nice about it, but you guys never end up hanging out and she's just not that into you, bro. Like you should probably move on. I'm not saying move on from the college, but I'm just saying don't be dead set on that one school because it shows that like, hey, we kind of are interested in other guys. Well, you know, you're kind of a backup plan. And fine, you know, that's how the game works. And recruiting is a very cold game. You know what I mean? It is not, you know, everybody gets a pat on the back. It is very cutthroat. It is, you're not good enough, you are. That's generally how it goes. So you just have to understand that. And if you get a non-committable offer, okay, cool. I got to keep working. Foot on the gas pedal. I got to keep grinding. I got to get good film. I got to get out to more camps. I got to reach out to more coaches because I want to find a school that's actually interested in me. I'm their guy and they gave me a committable scholarship offer, okay? So guys, I hope that makes sense. I talk about this stuff a lot, but I wanted to give a really thorough breakdown of all that because I want you guys to understand, one, don't play the comparison game on social media. Two, everybody's journey is different. And three, you got to make sure that the school that does offer you, they are actually interested and it's a school that really wants you, okay? So I hope that makes sense, fellas. Now, you guys, we're going to get into some questions that you left on a previous episode of this show. So guys, if you have questions, do not hesitate. Post those in the comment section below on this video. I read and respond to every single YouTube comment that we get, and the best ones I will feature on the next episode of this show. So seriously, guys, we appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys tuning into these long form episodes. But before we do that, you guys, if you're a QB or wide receiver watching this and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this off season, we're going to be traveling out to 15 different cities across the entire U.S. for 2-day long QB and wide receiver training camps. So guys, go to that very first link in the description below of this video. That's where you could sign up and that's where you could get all the information. Our camps, it's just a little bit different than other camps that you might be familiar with. We take the time to really work with each athlete on an individual level, and we don't allow anybody and everybody to show up. We actually cap the amount of people that are able to attend, so our camps will sell out. We have available spots by mid-November. The first 3 camps that we have will be sold out, you guys. So make sure you take advantage of the fact that we have availability. So very first link in that description below. Our next 3 camps, these are the ones that will sell out here within a couple of weeks, are going to be in San Francisco, California, Orlando, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona. Then after that, we'll be coming out to Columbia, South Carolina, Seattle, Washington, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Nashville, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Denver, Colorado, Columbus, Ohio, Boston, Massachusetts, Salt Lake City, Utah, and finishing it off in Los Angeles, California. So guys, you want to show up and attend, very first link in that description below. We'd love to have you there, okay? So let's get to some of your guys' questions, okay? So question number 1 here. Let me pull this up real quick, fellas. All right, question number 1 from Trap Kicks K4M. Great video, Coach. How can I get better at aggression overall, but specifically on jump ball? So if you're struggling with a jump ball, what I would say, focus on going up strong with strong hands. That's why grip strength is so important for a receiver. Like you're going to go take that ball from the DB. Now, when you secure the ball, DBs make their money on the way down, right? So if you catch the ball and hold it in front of yourself like it's going to explode almost, the DB's going to knock that out on the way down. Catch violent to the tuck, and if you can, try to turn your body to where your body is between the defender and the football on the way down, and that will help you secure a jump ball catch, okay? So I hope that makes sense, man. Appreciate you asking that. From Ben, YouTuber, what the age group on the camps? Also, if I live in Canada, would my odds be worse of going D1? Yeah, so if you live in Canada, the odds are definitely incrementally lower to be able to go to a Division I school, but it's not impossible. There are tons of examples of guys who played in Canada and were able to go to a Division I level school, like, you know, Chase Claypool is a perfect example. But anyways, what I recommend to you is having really dominant film. So try to play varsity film, try to play varsity as soon as possible and get as much film as you can. Whether you're playing just offense, defense, special teams, try to just never come off the field and make a ton of explosive plays. So that's number one. Number two, you need to promote yourself on social media. X is the best platform to do that because that's where college coaches go to do their recruiting. So follow coaches, reach out to coaches, specifically coaches that generally tend to recruit in the closest U.S. states to where you're at in Canada. So if you're like in Toronto, that would be like New York, Massachusetts, like Ohio, like areas over there, right? Generally, college coaches will post in their bio on Twitter, recruiting coordinator for like Ohio, New York, etc. Those are the guys you want to reach out to because that's the closest U.S. state to you. And then I would try to go to college camps in those close U.S. states. You got to make the investment. I know it's expensive to travel, obviously, especially from country to country, but I highly recommend that because that can show college coaches that you can do it. They can see you with their own eyes, and that can create some interest. So that's definitely what I recommend, dude, okay? And then you asked what age were the camps, ages 9 to 17, or ages 9 and above, I should really say, because we take guys that are older than 17, but we split everybody up by age group, so we do a pretty good job of that. So yeah, if you'd love to come out to one of our camps, man, we'd love to have you there, okay? Next question from B. Robinson 9357. What should an athlete do when their teammates are constantly being negative and doubting each other? So yeah, if you got some negative teammates, the most important thing you can understand is that you can't control how they feel. You can only control how you feel, right? So like, it's not fair that your teammates are negative. Maybe they're putting everybody down. It's not necessarily your fault, but at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to yourself as to how you respond to that, right? So if they're being super negative, your responsibility is to not let that affect your game and affect your attitude, right? Because a lot of guys, when they're around negativity, they just, oh, you know, it's everybody's negative, and they get super discouraged and they get down. Like, that's a victim mentality, in my opinion. I think if everybody's being negative around you, you need to do a really good job, and it's your responsibility to tune it out and just focus on staying positive and focus on your game and improving. Then what I would say is try to lead by example. Like, you know, when you guys have problems on the field, don't be a guy that's pointing a finger, be a guy that's trying to solve the problem. Having that problem-solving skill is great, and I think a lot of other players will see that and probably tend to rally around that. And so that would be my best piece of advice to you, dude. So I hope that makes sense, all right? All right, fellas, that does it for this episode, but seriously, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope this episode was able to help you guys out. And again, if you have questions, comments, whatever, don't hesitate. Post those in the comments section below. We always love interacting with you guys, talking with you guys. So again, fellas, really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.